Brilliant. Hi, everybody. So I'm Jodie. I'm the bariatric specialist nurse over at Salford. So for anyone who's joining us for the first time, this is our pre-op support group. But when we do our patient experience night, our post-op patients join us as well. So if there's anybody here who's had surgery and is happy to be part of the panel for the question and answer session, do you raise your hand so Abby can identify you and then flip you into the panel if you're happy to answer any questions along with our guest speakers tonight. If this is the first session you've ever had, then welcome. We're really glad to have you here. The main idea of this group is so that you can make an informed choice about bariatric surgery, get a feel for the team over at Salford. I know that we have some patients joining us from Huddersfield and their team tend to do a talk as well. And every first Wednesday of every month, except for January, you'll have different healthcare professionals or patients speaking. So it's a really useful one to try and attend. They are recorded, as Abby said, so there's a way that you can access the recordings if it's not a good time through through the closed Facebook group as well, and then on the links on the chat. Tonight we're also joined by Phil Gray, who's part of doing a research study over at Salford University. So he's going to tell you a little bit about that in case that's something you might be interested in before we go over to our patient experience evening. So I'll let Phil take the floor.
Thanks, Jodie. My name's Dr. Phil Gray. I'm from the University of Salford, and I teach on the Nutrition and Exercise as Medicine degree programme, and also a master's programme as well in clinical exercise physiology. So thanks to Jodie and Stevie for inviting me here today to really outline and explain the research which we're conducting at the university. So what we've received at university is some funding to develop a weight management service to deliver to the local community. And it gives our students the opportunity to gain some experience in the delivery of weight management and all kind of aspects of the weight management program. So we're hoping to deliver that within the next year. And essentially what we're doing is we're inviting people who have previously engaged in weight management, currently engage in weight management, or intend to engage in weight management, who are over the age of 18 and to take part in a piece of research. So really the point of the research is to explore your perceptions of your weight management journey so far, and to also present to you some ideas that we have in relation to the weight management clinic that we have developed at the university and are proposing to deliver. And also another aim is to really explore individual differences in perceptions of the weight management program. So whether things such as personality influences your perceptions, whether things such as age or sex influences your perceptions, your stage in the weight management journey influences perceptions, and so on. Okay, so if you do decide to take part, what it will involve essentially is the completion of a short screening questionnaire. This determines your suitability and eligibility for the study. A short questionnaire battery, which will last about 15 minutes. And once you've done that, you'll be invited to take part in a focus group with other participants, about 6 participants at each focus group. And the focus group will last 2 hours in total. So the first 50 minutes will explore your current experiences of weight management. There'll be a comfort break in between. And then the last 50 minutes, we will present different aspects of the proposed weight management clinic and get some feedback on that. So it's really important that we kind of get service user involvement in the development of that program. So everything will be held kind of confidentially, and participants kind of have the freedom to withdraw at any stage without specifying a reason. It's got full ethical approval from the university. And currently we've conducted a number of focus groups so far, and we need approximately another 8 participants to take part. And to kind of provide a bit of an incentive, what we'll do is we'll kind of give a bit of a prize draw for the people that sign up and complete the research from herein, and we'll provide dietary analysis, 2 dietary analyses randomly selected for those who sign up herein. Okay, so what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to present a link to the study within the chat box, which will provide you further information, everything that you need to know to make a decision as to whether to take part or not. And I'll also provide my email address as well. Okay, so within the chat box, there is a link to the study. So feel free to kind of click on that now, copy and paste the link, and I'll also provide my email address as well. Okay, so I'm just conscious I don't want to take up too much time tonight. So if there is kind of any questions on this study at all, feel free to just drop me an email and I'll be happy to clarify. Okay, thank you. Cheers, bye.
Phil, I'll post that on the bariatric Facebook group as well, so people can contact you that way if they miss it on the link here.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Dr. Gray. And there's already people in the chat saying that sounds interesting. So it's really helpful to have any of your input, because you're the people that go through this journey, you experience everything, and your feedback is really critical to service improvement and development. So that's great. And talking about experience and going through everything, that's exactly what tonight is. So we've got opportunity now just to hear a few of our patients' journey from having surgery. So I'll put them out their misery so they can present. So first of all, thank you so much for doing this. I'm sure you'll get a lot out of it as well. So if we hand over to Lisa first.
Hi. Hi, Lisa. I will share my screen so that we can see your presentation. Just before we get started, just to let everyone know, we can only see the panelists. We can only see and hear the panelists. So don't worry if you're watching tonight and you're worried if we can see or hear you. So I'll share my screen. Brilliant, Lisa. You good to go?
Yep. So, excuse me, this is my gastric bypass little journey. I'm Lisa, I'm 47. I had to think about that then. And I am 1 year out post surgery. So this is me a year ago, someone who I don't recognise. I was 16 stone 6 when I had my operation. I had type 2 diabetes, which I was medicated for, high blood pressure, I had degenerative spine disease, lots of surgeries. I had arthritis in my joints, my ankles, my knees, I had gastric reflux, I had obstructive sleep apnea, what I needed a machine for every night, which was just so obstructive. And I think I was taking up to 14 medicated pills a day, which was just completely ruining my stomach. I was really unhappy, and there was just no way of finding anything positive about anything. Then I met Mr. Senapati, who put me with ABL, and I did for 3 years. It wasn't meant to be for 3 years, but obviously due to COVID and other things, it just extended, which was a positive. I saw a psychologist who taught me about healthy relationship with food. I had regular meetings, weigh-ins, exercise classes, and then other exercise classes that were recorded other times that you had access to. So that was really good. Regular updates and meetings with Dr. Senapati at Salford, lots of scans, just to make sure everything was going on all right inside. And then a couple of meetings like this one at Salford prior to COVID, when it ruined everything, where you got to meet other people who were in the same situation as you, and sometimes in a worse situation than you. So it made you kind of think more seriously about it. Then I got my letter that said, you know, we've booked you in, COVID's going away, so we can book you in. And then I did the dreaded liver reducing diet. it was limited, but it, you know, I'd already been taught at this point to put in what you want to get out of your body. So I found it quite easily. If you can't commit to the liver reducing diet, then surgery is not for you. I read it all over. Oh, I can't commit to this. I don't think I can do this liver reducing diet. Well, if you can't do that, you can't do surgery, end of. And making the change isn't easy, but if you prepare, that's what helped me. Coming up to surgery, doctor and staff explained everything. Surgery was quite quick, recovery was good. My advice, which is what Jodie always said to me, get out of bed and walk. And I thought, I can't do it. I'm in so much pain, I'm so tired. And she came on the ward and she got me out of bed and I went to the toilet and there was no stopping me then. Forget about the scales and your scars. Just walk, walk and walk. The after feeling of the gas is horrendous, but the more you walk, the more it moves around, so then it gets out of your body quicker. And then once I was home, I had to put regular alarms on my phone to remember to drink water, to move. And then I found that planning for the days ahead, because you're not working and things kind of one day falls into another, and it was about making plans for that day. What was I going to eat? How long would I be before I drank? So, and then it becomes routine then. But don't Google anything. Don't go on these Facebook sites, because I did, and I really, I was on the phone to Jodie all the time saying, what about this? What about that? And I've decided to follow it, but don't take advice off it. If you're not sure, ring your nurses or your dietitians, which is where I got it help from. Post-surgery, only advice I could give you is plan your meals. I know it sounds really like difficult, like how can I do that? I work, I've got small children, I've got this, I've got that. But if you don't plan, you don't stick to it. So, you know, some days you'll eat more and some days you won't be able to eat a lot. It doesn't mean there's something wrong. It's your body just needs different things every day. Don't buy expensive pills that claim to prevent hair loss. If you're going to lose hair, you're going to lose it. It will grow back. I know a couple of people who are a year and a half out and their hair is now thicker and more beautiful than it was before they had surgery. So if it's going to fall out, it is going to fall out, but then it's going to come back. So, you know, just plan for that. Get your protein in. Don't drink until 45 minutes after you've eaten, which is really difficult still now for me. As soon as I've took my last bite, I put my alarm on 45 minutes. And I don't, because if you do, I did it once, I did it 20 minutes and I was thirsty and I was so poorly and I've never done it since. And I'm sure there's other reasons for it, but just don't do it, it's not worth it. Be aware your taste change after post-surgery. I can no longer eat bread or white potatoes or pasta or anything like that. The taste is just horrific. I can't eat red meat. I used to love a steak before. Can't eat red meat, so I live on turkey, ham, pork, lots of vegetables and stuff like that. And just remember that you've got a new stomach, so you've got to respect it. Don't think that it's a diet, it's a complete life change. So it's about looking now at, you've got something new in there, you have to look after it. Food, and that's the way I thought about it. Food is fuel. And always take your vitamins. Don't miss out on your vitamins because they're so essential. And the couple of days that I did miss them, I really felt a change in it. So I take them now, again, my trusty iPhone with my 1,500 alarms per day for everything to remember. And then it gets a routine then. So this was a bit of a quick snapshot of immediately after surgery. So 0 to 2 weeks, water and fluids like strained soup. I found that preparing them and freezing them and then just putting them in the microwave, it saves messing around. It saves me, you're thinking you're missing out because you just got this soup. And then 2 to 4 weeks, runny food like yogurt or pureed food, and 4 to 6 weeks soft food, like, you know, mashed. I only have mashed sweet potato now, because obviously I don't like white potato. And then 6 weeks onwards, gradually returning to a healthy, balanced diet. This is not like, I did this completely different because I was guided by Jodie, the dietitian, because I did quite well at the beginning. So mine was a bit different from that, but from the sounds of it, this is what most people do. Eat slowly, chew carefully, and chew it till it's literally disintegrated in your mouth, and only eat small amounts at a time. Don't watch telly while you're eating, because I never understood this before, and I have been told this numerous times of numerous dieting places. When you're watching telly, you don't concentrate on what you eat. But when you're eating and watching telly, your body will tell you that enough's enough, and then you've just got to learn that it is enough and you can't push past that. And then obviously be careful when you're eating things that block your stomach, such as white bread, rice. I think sushi is another one as well, which I used to love before, but I can't have it now. But friends of mine have said that they've had sushi and it's not been good. So just be careful of things like that. So this is my typical day. So in the morning, I'll have either boiled eggs, porridge, omelette with some ham, protein shake, which I make with protein powder, where you can get your own flavours, fruit or Weetabix with a banana. I know if I feel like it, I'll have a mid-morning snack. I'll have like some fruit or something that's quick. Then for lunch, I'll have a salad with a protein, so meat or fish, roast sweet potato, low-fat sugar soups. Although lately, like I said, your taste changes, so I've gone a bit off soups. And then I have a lot of leftovers because my husband is from Yorkshire and he eats for probably 3 people. So there's always leftovers that I always take for my lunch. Dinners, again, salad with protein, meat and fish, protein with lots of vegetables, sweet potato and gravy, stews. I've started now to have a bit of pork mince burgers with a lettuce. So instead of the bun, I'll have a lettuce, a little bit of crunch in it, and which is really nice. But again, you know, the limited amount of it. My drinks, I'm obsessed with low sugar cordial Vimto, can't live without it. Skinny cappuccino, and then if I make it at home, I put extra skimmed milk powder in it that thickens it up a little bit. Or you know, good old water, which is boring but essential. And then your snacks, fruit. I've started to eat Snacker Jacks, little packets of Snacker Jacks. They're quite nice. It feels like you're having a bit of a treat. A small amount of nuts in your yogurt. Give your yogurt a bit of crunch. I've found this low sugar mousse from Aldi, which is just amazing, because I don't eat chocolate really anyway, but it just gives you that little bit of naughtiness hit, and I really enjoy them, and they're really cheap as well. I personally found support mainly from Jodie and ABL, and I dare to say it, Facebook groups, but you have to pick and choose what's right for you, because every operation is different. You know, there's lots of different surgeries. I had the Roux-en-Y bypass. People have sleeves and various other things. People start at different weights than you. I was 16.6 when I started, and people say you weren't even that big, but I was big. But then you got people that start at like 28, 29 stone, so you'll lose it different. So don't kick yourself if you've only lost £2 this 1 week, or someone else has lost £9, because it really affects you that other people are doing better quick. And not everyone. Some days you get to I can't remember the time, but there was a time that I stopped, and I didn't lose weight for a couple of weeks, and I kept thinking, oh, have I done something wrong? And then again, it just restarted again, but your body's repairing as well. So you just got to give yourself a bit of a break. So this is me now. It's a very flattering picture, as you can see. I'm 48 in a couple of weeks. I'm now 11 stone, so I've just lost about 5.5, just up to 5.5 stone. I've not got diabetes anymore. My blood pressure's gone. I don't have obstructive sleep apnea. I've still got degenerative spine disease, but it's a massive reduced impact on me. I don't have as much pain and paralysis that I used to have. Very little pain and discomfort from the arthritis, and significantly increased mobility. So, you know, I can run up the stairs now. I can run around the park and get in the car, and I don't have to wait to demist me windscreen because I'm out of breath. And it's just absolutely changed my life. And that's me on the left. That looks like I've hit her on the right a few times. And that's it.
Oh, Lisa, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. And there were some really good little tidbits in there that I think people should really take home. And it is such a journey, and I think everyone is slightly different. So I think social media can be useful, but it's like anything, isn't it? Sometimes you have to take it with a pinch of salt. Sometimes you know that it's not going to be good for your mental health and anxiety levels if you're going on there. So it is that sometimes you have to be a bit of a robot after surgery. You don't often feel hungry, and you might be enjoying weight loss, but if you don't eat, the weight loss won't stay. So you need to be a bit of a robot, and the alarms. Setting alarms is just such a good idea. I
can't even explain. If I showed you my phone, it's just constant. The alarms go off all day. Even my boss, she goes, water. Oh yeah.
Water, I bet everyone in the office is drinking more water now. And that's what we all need. We all know that we're quite bad as humans doing the things we're meant to do. I mean, I'm always thirsty, and I always think, I don't know if I'd be good after surgery if I'd remember.
Honestly,
but
it's so difficult.
You'd learn the hard way otherwise.
To be fair though, Jodie, I remember there's two specific things that I remember that you said to me, and one was when I rang you crying because my hair was falling out, and I said it's costing me a fortune. I was spending like 44 quid a month on these pills that you have to take every night, and you said, Lisa, if your hair's going to fall out, it's going to fall out. And I stopped ordering them, and my hair stopped falling out. But it was just weird. And then the other thing was, and I think a lot of people are asking about it, is loose skin. And I do have a little bit of loose skin. It's not massive, but I do have it. And like you said about that, and Dr. Senapati said it, if you get loose skin, you're going to get it. You can't stop it. You can't prevent it. It's that type of skin that you've got. So if you get it, you get it. But to me, the 5 stone off, I think I want to lose another 0.5 stone, but the 5 stone off and the difference it's made to my life is worth everything. It's worth the loose skin. It's worth the change. It's worth, you know, and my family are all eating better as well, because they don't want to sit there and eat, you know, a massive bar of chocolate. And I say, you know, you enjoy it, but they go, no, Mum, I'm thinking, you know, I want to be healthier. So it does rub off on other people.
Yeah, no, losing weight is the most difficult thing. And I think the nation has woken up to the fact that obesity is the pandemic that was always ignored. Yeah. So making these life changes, there's nothing around us that makes it easy. And bariatric surgery definitely gives that kickstart you need for that kind of rapid weight loss. But making the changes and making the lifelong changes is part of the reason people end up, you know, that you're part of these groups, that you do your weight management first. Is because we want the preparation and your mindset there, so that this is successful for you for the rest of your life. So Lisa, you have generally, you've just done fantastic. You look amazing.
I couldn't have done it without you and Stevie and the rest of the gang, because, you know, I used to remember going to these meetings thinking, do I really need this? Do I have to do this? But my emotions were all over, my hormones were just all over the place. And I think someone asked, I wasn't being rude with all the questions because I had to concentrate on the thing, but people asked, have your hormones changed? I've never felt better. Honestly, I get up in the morning, I'm not in pain, I don't want to cry, I don't want to not go anywhere. When someone gets a camera out, I don't hide. You know, I always used to hide behind somebody, and it's not to do with the way you look. It's that you feel confident that you could be in a photo with somebody and not judge yourself. You know, you just got to learn to love yourself again. And I think having the surgery has changed everything for me. So, you know, if anybody else can get anything from that, then I wish them all the luck.
That's again a really good point, because your body image does change, and it can take a while for your head to catch up with the person you're looking at, and it can be a bit of a roller coaster sometimes for people, because they kind of think, oh, you know, people are telling me all the time I've lost weight, but I'm buying bigger clothes, or I'm not seeing it myself. And it can, for some people, it can be a little bit of an identity crisis sort of scenario as well. Not in a huge way, but just kind of getting used to the new you and embracing it and enjoying it, especially as people wait so much longer now for surgeries. That it gets a bit overwhelming. You think, well, I've been waiting and waiting, and then someone phones you.
It's getting better though, isn't it? People saying now, oh, I've got a letter, I've got this letter, I've been waiting 2 years, and you know, I've got this and I've got that. I think big COVID, a lot of, I mean, you remember I fell out with Dr. Senapati, didn't I, mid-COVID, when he said, come in and see me, and I was so frustrated, and I was so unhappy with life and everything. I took it out on him. I felt so bad when I come out of there. And I rang him later and I said, look, I'm so sorry, but I'm so frustrated with everything. And this COVID should have gone in just prior to COVID, and then everything knocked it back. And, you know, it was so good. He could have said, you know, I'm taking you off the list, you know, your mental thing, you know, but he didn't. And, you know, I was, you know, really grateful to him. But like you said about, you know, the body image, people say really, people are cruel, aren't they, sometimes? And they'll say, God, you're wasting away. And I'll say, oh, thank you. As before I go, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. You know, oh, you've lost loads of weight. Yeah. Because some people don't like telling other people they've had bariatric surgery. I'm not bothered. I had it because I needed it, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Some people don't like it. But what I did have to get used to is people saying, well, I preferred you when you were bigger. You know, or don't lose any more weight because you're wasting away. And I thought, well, no one said to me, you're fat, don't put any weight on, don't put any more weight on because you're really fat. So why should they have an opinion on, well, don't lose any more weight? And I think people need to be careful what they say. But if you're on the bariatric journey, you need to get a bit of a thick skin to that and just say, thank you. Take that compliment, whether it's meant or not, take that compliment and walk away, because there's always going to be somebody that tries to dull your day. And that's the best thing. That's the best advice I can give myself.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Thank you again. Do stay around if you can, because we will have a Q&A session after, and anyone else that's interested, Abby's going to bring you into the panel too. So we've also got Sarah. Sarah has actually had her surgery more recently, and she came into clinic for a follow-up with me, and she bought some trousers that she was like, look at these, I can't believe these were my trousers before. And I was like, oh, you have to come and share this with the group. So she was really kindly said she'd come and join us tonight as well. So I'll hand over to Sarah, if that's okay.
Hi Sarah, I'll share my screen so that we can see your presentation. Any questions that anyone has, please put them in the Q&A box, and we'll get around to answering them after we hear from Sarah.
Right. Am I supposed to see myself?
Can you see the presentation, Sarah?
I can see the presentation, yeah, I can't see myself. Am I supposed to see myself?
No, don't worry, it's because you're on your phone. If you were on a bigger screen, you'd see yourself as well, but don't worry, we can all see your presentation, so you're good to go.
Oh, that's fine, okay. This is a bit shorter because I really didn't have a lot of time to do it. Yeah, I did this last night. So I had my surgery 6 months ago, just a bit longer ago. My starting weight, is it on there? Yeah, 23 stone 9, and I'm now just down to just below 17 stone. And listening to Lisa's story, it just really showed me how much everybody's journeys are very different. I had the gastric sleeve surgery. I was supposed to be having the gastric bypass. That's what the plan was to have done. But during the surgery, I had some quite bad complications in my surgery. My liver had not reduced enough, even though I'd tried very hard on my liver reducing diet. And I had some bad bleed from my liver at the same time. So I was in surgery for a lot longer than what I should have been. I don't regret them changing the decision to change it to a gastric sleeve at all. And I had to stay in hospital an extra day just for them to keep an eye on the blood cells. And yeah, so during straight after surgery, I won't lie, it's hard. And I will always tell everybody the truth, because I don't want you to go into it and think it's going to be easy, because it's not. I was in a lot of pain and discomfort. The gas pain is unbearable. But as Lisa said, and as you will get told over and over again, make sure you get up. Once you get up, things do move around, but the gas pain lasts for quite a long time. Some people, it does go into your shoulder, and it did me, and that was very painful. And yeah, as it says, I felt like I got hit by a bus. The picture on there was me just after surgery, and I think that was about might have been about 3 or 4 months after surgery. Next slide, please. So these are just some recent pictures of myself. Yeah, looking at them pictures, it gets you quite emotional. Because I can see a massive difference in myself. The first one was a night out, which I would never have worn a top like that with a belt, because I thought my stomach was too big. And the second one is me at the gym, just finished at the gym, which I do a lot now, only because I actually enjoy it, because before I couldn't do it and now I can. And the third picture is just me just to show how much I have lost off my face and my neck and things like I've not got any double chin again anymore. So that's really good. Next slide, please. Now, I am a lot more active. I must walk at least between 10,000 and 15,000 steps per day. And that's because I want to do it, because I like to do it, whereas before I couldn't do it. There's less pain. There's less pain on my legs. There's less pain on my knees. Everything doesn't hurt as much. The only downfall to being a lot more active is being active. It takes time and it takes dedication. And if you're like me, you've got a family to support and you've got a job. It is hard to fit everything in, but you do manage. Another good thing is I take a lot less medication now, a lot less pain medication. As just like Lisa, I'm no longer diabetic. I'm in remission. I stopped taking my medication for diabetes straight after the surgery, and I've never had to take it since. I don't take as many painkillers. I've cut down on my asthma medication. I have intracranial hypertension. I've also cut down on that medication. And I think I will be going into remission from that as well. I currently do still have sleep apnea, but I've got my sleep study coming up at the end of this month, to see if I still require it, really. So that's another massive benefit. You can shop in different shops, although at the minute my husband goes mad at me because I don't see myself as being able to fit in clothes from other shops. So I'm scared to go into other shops and see if I can fit in these clothes. I will still go to the plus size shops. And my husband tells me, no, you need to go and try and look in these other places. So I have tried to start doing that. What does that say? Yeah, I do struggle eating meals. I don't eat a lot. I could say I definitely struggle with my breakfast still, but I'm working on it. Because coffee or a brew is just enough for me still. But I will have a mid-morning snack like some fruit or something like that. For me, dinner is usually like leftovers. I can manage a bit of bread, but not a lot. For my tea, usually I cook the same as I'll eat everything what my family eats now, which is really great. But I still cook way, way, way too much. I cannot get out of that habit. So I tend to take my teas with me to work for my dinner the next day. I am finding it hard to get enough protein in my diet, which I've just spoke to Jodie about this week, because I am experiencing some hair loss. And although it's not so much a big problem because I've got lots of it, but I can feel a difference. I've got brittle nails and sometimes I'm feeling quite tired, so I know I need to get my intake of that up, which I'm working on. The loose skin is definitely an issue for me. I mean, not as much. I've got quite a lot of loose skin because I was very big when I had my weight loss surgery. Everybody will be different, but I have got quite a lot of loose skin. But I always tell myself I didn't come on this journey to look good. I came on this journey because I need to feel better and my health needs to get better. Also, I mean, like Lisa said, everybody's different and mine is completely different to hers because I wouldn't say I'm quite as regimented. I don't have alarms set. I do drink after a meal, but not a lot because obviously you can't. And yeah, I definitely don't set alarms for things. And I do eat things that I still shouldn't eat, but not as big a proportion as what I was. Next slide. Yeah, so so just to sum it up, really, that everybody is different and they will find it, their operation will be different, the recovery will be different for everybody, but keep at it and things do get better. Remember though that it does take hard work and determination. I waited a very, very long time for my operation and it's well worth the wait. I can say now that I feel like the team over there have given me a new life. It's like a new start and that I'm like a whole different person now. So everybody just, keep at it and it will happen. And that's it, I think. Oh, and another thing, don't drink pop because it is not nice after surgery, believe me.
Yeah, fizzy and the small anatomy that you have of a stomach with a sleeve or a bypass, they just don't go together. It's just it makes you kind of feel quite gassy, but like you can't burp, and it just takes ages for that feeling to go away.
I used to drink litres of it before surgery, and now I can't touch the stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. I know for a lot of people, fizzy pop, it was a big deal before surgery, and the idea of giving that up when it's been such a staple, that's been quite hard. But then just like that, you have the surgery, you think, maybe I'd try it, and you, I suddenly don't want it. But very often
it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, I thought, oh God, I can never give up fizzy pop. I can never do that. And now I've just, and it doesn't bother me as well.
No, and brilliant. And thank you so much, Sarah, because I know you're only kind of 6 months down the road now, but it's really nice for people to kind of get a feel of the journey after surgery. And as you can probably see, there's a few more faces popping up now. Yeah. So we've got Stuart there and Tony.
And how different it is for everybody as well. I mean, look at Lisa's story to look at mine. I'm so, like I said, I'm not as regimented as Lisa at all. Everything's go with the flow with me, you know, and I do plan things, but not to a certain extent. And I don't set alarms to tell me to have this, that, and the other. And that's why everybody else's journey is so different. Hers, she likes to have it that way. I'm a different way.
Mine's more, Sarah, mine's more necessity, because literally I would forget to drink if I didn't have that alarm. So it's more necessity rather than being regimented. It's just poor management.
Probably not the right word to use, regimented, but it just shows how everybody's journey is so different to each other's.
Yeah.
And plus the surgery, how surgery is so different as well.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
Mine was difficult, and yours, you said that yours was easy and you was out quite quickly.
But we had completely different surgeries, didn't we? So I mean, I don't really know a lot about a sleeve, but completely different.
Yeah, so for people considering the surgeries, so the type of surgeries we offer at Salford is a sleeve gastrectomy, which is where you end up with a stomach the sort of size of a butcher's sausage, but the shape of a banana. And that little bit of stomach, I say little bit, the bit of our stomach that goes up like a carrier bag, that bit's taken away, and then food, once you've retrained your stomach, will travel quite quickly into your small intestine. With a bypass, and we have 2 kinds of bypass. The surgeons are more like plumbers, and they're rerouting where your food's going to go, and you actually lose a section of your stomach and quite a section of your small bowel, so food doesn't travel through that anymore, so it has a bit more of a malabsorptive effect. But all these things will become clearer as you're going through your understanding of surgery. And so don't worry if you've heard things tonight thinking, I don't know what the liver reduction diet is. When you need to know these things, it will all appear for you, so don't panic about that. And that's part of the program that you're going on.
Also it's like as well, if you know, you might plan to have a certain surgery, if it doesn't go right while you're in the surgery, they may change it just to make sure that you're safe. And I respect what they did for me. Even though it got changed, I respect that they still went ahead with the surgery and they gave me a different option. But just always remember, when you go in for surgery, you may come out with a different one than what you was supposed to have.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you come and meet the team, you'll be given sort of like videos and booklets that are very specific to our surgeries and our surgeons and so on. But very often on the day, when they come to consent you, it will be, well, we're planning for the Roux-en-Y bypass, but if there's any problems or it's technically too difficult, we'll consider doing the sleeve. If I see a hiatus hernia in my way, I'll likely repair that. And they'll ask you to consent for all those things. So definitely keep that open mind. Do your research now. You might have a favourite, you might have something you think is more for you, but keep an open mind to everything, so that when you come and meet the team and you hear our opinions on what might suit you as an individual based on your medical history, based on maybe other conditions or surgeries you've had in the past. We're always going to look for the safest and best option for you. And then, as we say, on the day, there might even be deviations. So it's just having that in your mind, or I kind of know what a sleeve is, I kind of know what the bypasses are, and I know what I need to do with them, because essentially with any bariatric surgery, we get you to follow the same follow-up pathway, so you'll be prepared for them. It's just having an understanding of what they are. So as I said before, I can see lots of people just joining in. So these are people that have had surgery as well that are going to help us with our Q&A. So by all means, give us a wave if you want your cameras on, off, that's fine. Hi Stuart, hi Tony, hi. Oh, there's Stacey, hi. Lovely, brilliant. I'm sure there's a lot more people there, but I can't see everybody's names. So we'll hand over to Abby, and she'll just pick out a few Q&As. There might be some that I might need to just field and ask specific people to answer, but let's see how we go on.
Thank you. So this follows on quite well from you both mentioning that you had quite a long wait before your surgery. I've got a question. How did you cope with the waiting time?
Oh, sorry, Sarah, go on.
It's okay. There's no way to really cope with it. You don't really have much of a choice, but once you've had it, you realise how worthwhile it is to wait. Now you won't see it like that, but when you've had it, you'll think, yeah, it was well worth the wait. You know, it was coming up to 3.5 years for myself, and you know, it does take a lot out of you, but just keep working hard during it, because the less weight you are when it comes to surgery, the easier the surgery will be, and also the safer it will be as well. Thank you.
Lisa, what did you find?
Yeah, pretty much the same, really. At first it was really frustrating, and then COVID hit, but then I thought to myself, this is going to completely change my life, so I have to prepare for it. We prepare and research where we go to eat, you know, on the same evening. So that's how I looked at it. I just researched it, found new skills, found new ways of coping, and I just had a plan, which I never do. I never plan for nothing. I'm always late. I never plan for anything, but I think COVID, as much as it stopped me from having the surgery, it gave me that opportunity to plan what am I going to do if something goes wrong? What am I going to do if I give up? What am I going to do if I do something wrong? And I had a plan for everything, apart from how to deal with dumping, which is one of the most horrific things that I've ever done in my life. Yeah. I don't know about you, Sarah, but it literally scares the life out of me, and that's why I'm so strict with myself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've had a very bad bout of dumping syndrome, but I know when I'm not done the right thing with my stomach. Yeah. Definitely no.
I've had two, and I phoned you, Joe, did you remember? And I said, I've had some chicken soup and I had to go to bed for 2 hours. I had to comb my face. It was awful. My husband videoed it and he still wouldn't show me the next day. He said it was horrific.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So it was awful. So I'm really, really careful now, but that's the only one of the negative things of it.
And is anyone else who's joined the panel, did anyone else have quite a long wait? Have they got any tips for that?
I did. I was, again, COVID hit, but I actually found it beneficial. I think it really helped focus that I really wanted this surgery. So yeah, I think it was a benefit for me for me personally. Obviously, other people didn't find it that way, but I found it beneficial to have that extra waiting and extra time to think everything through and make sure I was doing the right thing for me.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think right now, even though we're out of the COVID era, well, we're in the COVID era, but we're all functioning, we're living life again and so on. We still have terrible delays. We kind of ended up with a big situation where I think somebody on here was saying I've been waiting a long time for my referral to meet the team and so on. And at one point we were at over 76 weeks from referring from your weight management service to actually being seen in our clinic. There's a lot of work going on at the moment. So if there's some people that perhaps are on the line today, because this is a really important thing as well, attending these sessions just makes you feel like you're still part of everything and that you're not completely in limbo, that you have got this kind of touching base, if you will. So the surgeons at the moment have looked at the people waiting to come to meet us, and where perhaps they're to try and cut everything down. It may be that you don't need to see the full MDT. It may be that you could come in and have your bloods. We can send you the psychometrics. We can get you to do the education. You could have a phone consult with our surgeon. And it just means that we can, rather than trying to get everybody funneled through one afternoon clinic a week, we can use the flexibility our surgeons might have to do additional evening or weekend or in between surgery lists and phone people and get things going quicker. So it's not ideal as in, you know, somewhere all of us are like, have they had this yet, do they need that, and making sure that you get everything you need, but as a service where we're not getting additional resources, we're not getting another hospital with more beds and more theatre space, we're not getting additional members of our team, nurses, dietitians and so on. We've got to just think as best we can with the resources we've got. So if some of you have been having phone calls from surgeons and then getting emails to join this or to fill in that, bear with us. We're just basically trying to deal with the best we can with a bad situation for the best outcome for you to have your surgery more soon. So just so you got a bit of an idea, they used to say about something called a 4-in-1, which is when you would come to Salford and you'd meet all the team of an afternoon. That's quite in the past now. You tend to come and you might have a virtual session with me and Chris and maybe just a few people. You'll have a lot of information sent to you to watch and view and read, but then no one should ever feel lost, because once you've met BIS, you've got our contact numbers. So along the journey, if you're thinking, I'm sure, I know Jodie phoned me after surgery and then she phoned me again and then the dietitian phoned me, but it feels a bit of a while since I've had anything, you can touch base and make sure, because again, we know that our NHS is overwhelmed, and for the best will in the world, there's going to be human errors where an appointment doesn't get made, or something's missed, or something doesn't get attended, or the post meant that you didn't even know you had that appointment, and so on and so on. So I don't want anyone to ever feel lost either. So do always use the contact details you get given. So that's usually the secretary, which is in the top right hand corner of the letter from your surgeon when you first meet us, and then from all the education and the Teams links with me, there'll be my number and Chris's number. So you should have what you need to make sure that you're feeling supported as well. And we are always here, even if it's I'm on annual leave and then reply to your email or phone you back. It always does happen in the end, because we all pride ourselves to make sure we do that. So sorry Abby, I keep taking the floor. Go on, give us some more questions.
Thank you. You got some thumbs up there from that update. Just going off the back of what you guys just mentioned, can you explain what dumping syndrome is? I don't know if you want to give an overview, Jodie, or
I'll give a little overview. It's a weird and wonderful thing. Not everyone gets it. Some people get caught out. A chicken soup, you would not expect that, but maybe it was too processed, maybe it was just the wrong thing at the wrong time, or maybe it did have too high a sugar content. You might find things that before, like Heinz baked beans, you need the low sugar, low salt now. There's certain things that could catch you out. A petit falou will seem like a perfect thing to have, but the sugar content's probably a bit too high. And these things that, in the booklets, and you're probably getting some information of reading labels from your weight management dietitians as well. So dumping syndrome is essentially you eat something, it goes through a stomach where things aren't churned up for hours anymore. It kind of goes straight through to small bowel. It hits small bowel without having been quite digested down like it had been previously. And the body can cope with that unless it's too sugary, too greasy, or too starchy. And then the body might go, oh, I don't like this, we're not ready for it, it needs to get out. So you'll either have the body kind of flushing through whatever the offensive thing is so that you have a bit of a quick poo, or you might even vomit it, very rarely, but that can happen. Or you might just generally feel really quite unwell and just need to take to your bed for a few hours, and then you'll be like, oh, I'm not having that, and then you just go easy for the rest of the day, and then your body resets and you're absolutely fine. But you can experience palpitations, you can sweat, you can what else can happen with dumping? You can feel some, like I say, sometimes you might feel like you just need to go to your bed just completely wiped out, normally because you get quite a low blood pressure while your body's trying to flush out whatever the item is. But as I say, your body's quite smart, it will reset and you'll be absolutely fine. But it's important to understand what dumping syndrome is. One, to avoid it, but two, those things sound quite scary, and you've just had a major surgery and you're going to be at home for your recovery. So you need to understand it. You need to think to yourself, what have I had in the last hour that could have given me this response? And sometimes you can even get late dumping, which can be up to 3 hours after an offensive item, whatever it might be. And these effects tend to dampen out with time anyway. So by the time you get to 2 years, dumping syndrome, your body's done a bit of a workaround with it all and buffers out some of these effects. So by then you really should be in those habits of a lifetime. And I know Stuart, when he was doing a talk once, he was saying as a treat he buys the celebrations. So if he thinks, oh, I quite like a Mars bar, he has a Mars bar, it's that big, but he doesn't dump on it and he enjoys it and it's great. But these are things that you adapt to and you work around. So the relationship you have with food is really important. I think when you've tackled weight all your life, you can have quite a bizarre relationship with food, because it's your enemy as well as having it being your friend. And I think, as Lisa put it, it becomes more like fuel after, because you have to be thinking to yourself, right, well, I'm doing my liquid and then I'm doing my puree and then I'm weaning myself up to solid diet, or I need more crunch now because I can manage more of the softer foods and I need to have more variety and I need to know what my protein is. But then once you've cracked it, you kind of open your mind to a whole host of things that you absolutely can have, albeit in a smaller portion. And we are in a great world situation with food at the minute. A lot of plant-based foods, a lot of protein type foods are very fashionable and out there in the supermarkets. So food should still be very much a social and nice thing in your life. Yeah,
I mean, I don't think I've had so much as dumping syndrome. I've definitely not had like the palpitations and the sweats and things. The only thing that I found, and I think in a way it's the only way that you learn what your stomach can handle. I'm not now, I'm a lot less sick now, but I would be regularly sick, not like daily, but I'd say possibly once or twice a week, depending on what I ate, and then I'd know that I'm not ready for that, or it was too much, or I've ate too fast, or I need to chew more. I think you learn by having them things happen. So by being sick, my stomach can't handle that.
See, I can't be sick, Sarah. Since my operation, I can't burp, and I can't be sick. But what I can do is, I know it's TMI, but what I can do is I trump all the time.
Yeah.
It's horrendous. I mean, it's not disgusting around, but I'm thinking, oh my God. But if I don't, I'm so uncomfortable that the people will think I've got a urine incontinence because I go to the toilet about 50 times a day.
Yeah, I mean, it was only this week. I'd not been sick for about 3 weeks. And this week I only had, it was like not even half of a baguette with some chicken breast on. And I thought, this isn't going to stay down. And it just came up. And it's like, it just doesn't fit.
That is definitely two very challenging foods you built there. Your white bread and your chicken breast. If it's too dry, it just goes to this stodgy bolus and kind of sits there.
It's the bread. It's the bread for me. It's too. What's the word? Is it? I'm a culture person. Is it gloggy?
I use stodgy.
Claggy. It's claggy. And
I think as well, because I've also had the bypass, and I do think bread is a real issue. I don't know whether it's to do with the size of the stomach, but bread is just a no-no. I can do toast. I can do half a slice of toast because it's hard and it doesn't swell up. But bread's no-no.
Can you still eat bread now then, Suzanne?
I can eat, as I say, I can't eat just dry bread or bread that's not toasted. I can't eat any bread at all like that. It just swells up and I just feel like you, I get sweats, have to go to bed. I feel so uncomfortable.
I have not even tried it. When I opened the loaf, I was about 4 months in, I thought, oh, I just want a piece of toast. And then I opened, and the smell of yeast, I think it is. That's it.
Oh no, I'm okay with toast, but I can only eat half a slice of toast, which I mean, pre-surgery, I could eat 4 slices of toast.
Slathered in butter.
Bother me. It's a big change.
Oh,
but no, not bread like I can't have a sandwich or anything like that. I just have to pick the middle out.
I'm the same. Bread is, I can eat some bread, but if anything, it's like half of it or a quarter of bread, because it just doesn't rest very well and it comes back up.
Well, there's a bariatric cookbook, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's really good. And it taught me to make, it's going to sound weird this now, because I think it's American. It's an egg bread. So it's not bread, but it's made out of egg white.
Like 2 omelettes.
Yeah. So if sometimes if I'm feeling brave, I'll have that with like a chicken burger in it that I've made, like an air fried chicken burger, or in the morning fold it over and put some coriander in it, and it's really nice. And I make myself think, oh, that's a piece of toast, but then I think I don't want to make myself think it's a piece of toast and make myself poorly. So it's kind of messing with your mind constantly. It's psychological, isn't it?
Yeah, there's one thing that every post-bariatric patient will have in common is that you do become very self-aware. And that's really important. That's you really cracking it, because you're like, oh, I've tried this. And I think early on, you don't want to get the fear, Lisa, not that I'm saying you are, but you just have to think, this isn't for me right now. Let's revisit that in a few months' time. And that's fine. So it's just trying not to build those food aversions. But bread, rice, chicken, red meat, they are problem foods for most people after bariatric surgery.
See, I live on chicken. I live on chicken. I've got a very, very addictive personality. So if I like something, I eat it all week.
Yeah, you'll always have your safety foods that you know are good.
That's me. I have my safety. And Chris said, you need to I said, I can't, Chris, because I've got my idea now and I'm going to stick by it. And I had one bounty over Christmas, because every office I went into had a bloody packet of Celebration Stuart all over the place. And there was fudge pieces. And I was like, oh, this is killer. So I took one bounty and I looked for this room. We have a contemplation room. And I thought, right, that's empty. I'm going to eat this bounty. If I need to go to sleep, I'm going to sleep in there. And it was all right, but I've not pushed it since there.
Oh. Go on, Stuart, you were going to say.
I've got to say, you end up becoming, I'm now 2 months off being 4 years in. I've got to say, you become an expert in food. You do. You know about food more than anybody eventually. And the dumping syndrome still doesn't go away. And one of the things you've got to watch out is when you do finally start going out for meals, you don't know what's in it. And you can end up with dumping syndrome and not actually knowingly put things in your tummy that if you make it yourself, you know what you're putting in, don't you?
Yeah.
That's the good thing about eating at home. You know exactly what you're going to be putting in. You know exactly what spices, what fats, what sugars. You go out and you don't really know. I mean, you can ask the question, and generally 90% of places that you go out to are very, very good and they're very amenable. You don't have to think, am I going to go out? Am I going to have that full plate of food? Nobody looks at you. Don't think they do. People don't look at you any differently.
Mm.
You know, some people don't eat as much as others. And I think there's this, everybody worries about the part of going out. And I suppose you guys don't. I go out all the time. I enjoy what I do. No, you don't have
No.
to.
And I'm so early as well. I'm only 6 months in, and I still
Mm.
go out for meals. And I tell you what, if I don't want it, I bloody leave it.
Yeah.
Well,
or you marry a Yorkshireman, and whatever I don't eat, he sweeps it up like
I'll give
Henry.
it husband.
So nothing goes to waste.
Yeah, don't let your dog get overweight.
It's been really good me listening to you guys now, because you know I've been at them points where you both are, and everyone else, and I listen to your points, and I listen to how you're coming across and what you're saying, and I'm thinking, yeah, I've been there, you know, and I heard a point earlier, and it's so frustrating, and I think it was Lisa that said, somebody said, you're not as bubbly, you're not as happy now, you're thinner. But
men get that, don't they? Men that have been overweight are seen as the funny one. That there's like this weird stereotype.
And women though, because I was all
no different.
You were funnier
true,
when you were
true.
big. Yeah.
True, but yeah, just from we did a support group once, and it was a long time ago, and it was all men that were there, and it was definitely a common theme.
I remember that one.
But that's one of my pet hates that nobody ever said to me, and I know and respect to you, Sarah, because you've done fabulously. I was 16.5 stone. For me, it was massive. Do you know what I mean? Nobody ever said to me, "You're really fat. You need to go on a diet. You need to stop drinking that pop. You need to." Nobody ever said that. Not my mum, not my dad, not my family. Nobody ever said that. But now, even when I put I won an award a few weeks ago and put it on Facebook, and some of the people who were my friends have put on my Facebook, "Oh, fabulous! You know, you're really smashing it. But don't lose any more weight because you're wasting away." And I deleted it because I thought, how dare you have it? Yeah,
I've already had people. I know I've still got a long way to go, and I'm 17 stone now, but I've still had people say to me, "There'll be now left of you."
Yeah, I know. And
right, I need to say something on that one as well, because there's no left of me. I was my heavy's probably about 30 stone. When I started my journey, I was 28.5. I have lost over 16.5 stone. I am now around about 12.5, 13 stone. But I got to let's put it, because you'll end up on kilos. I was born English, stones, pounds, but I'm now into kilos. So I'd gone from 179 kilos. I'm now 85 kilos, but I had gone to 80. To the point where at 80 kilos, my wife said to me, "Do you know what? Enough. You're getting a bit too gaunt." And at that point, I looked in the mirror and I thought, "Yeah, Stuart, you are." And I then started to gradually get me weight. And also, I had a conversation on the telephone with the dietitian, and she was working out how much I'd lost. I'm 6 foot tall, so 80 kilos is quite low, and especially when you consider at 20 odd stone, I've got a lot of loose skin. So that adds on to my weight. So you could add a stone or so for that. The dietitian actually said to me at that point when I got 80, we wouldn't be too upset if you put a little bit back on. I now set myself around 85, 86 kilos, and I'm happy as Larry. Really am. So, and you know, even 4 years in it, you've got to fight to keep that weight off. It's not just they're not just going to give you an operation and say, "There you go, you're away now, that's it, you're never going to put weight on again." It's not there. You are going to have to be watching your weight. You're on a diet the rest of your life.
Yeah. Life change, isn't it? It's not saying it's not a diet, it's a complete life change. Your life choices have to be positive. And if you're not willing to make that little sacrifice, don't go to the surgery. And that's what I've said from the minute I woke up.
Yeah, I agree.
And someone's asked what the average weight loss is in the first 6 months. Would anyone mind sharing what theirs was, if you can remember, or Jodie, what the average is?
So yeah, average is a useful tool, and we don't worry about them until you're at least sort of 8 weeks after surgery. So it just gives you a little guide that, yeah, no, that's okay, that's great. Especially when we talk percentages rather than pounds or kilos or stones, because that's not useful. That's not useful. Everyone has a very different starting point. So we look at averages and we talk about your excess weight. So if you think about the weight you could afford to lose, if you've had a gastric sleeve or gastric bypass, you would most likely lose around 65 to 70% of your excess fat over a 2-year period. And in the first 6 months, that tends to be your rapid weight loss period, where you'll lose maybe 30-40% of that excess fat around the 6-month stage, and then it'll slow right down. And when you're losing weight, it's never a nice even curve. It's always oh, there's some weight gone, and then oh, nothing, but don't panic because you're not getting on those scales every day. And then oh, you lose some more. So more like stairs, and sometimes the stair can be a very long stair, and then you'll think, oh, but you just keep doing what you're meant to do. It's going to come, and that's really important. So knowing your rules of 20, knowing that after 20 minutes that's your meal done, knowing what your portion size should be initially. We do advocate the kind of the liquid diet and the pureed diet, and as Lisa was saying, when we're guiding you and talking to you as an individual, you may have had no nausea, no sickness, everything's going great, or your toilet habits are marvelous, and they'll be like, right, let's go on to the next stage. But we always advocate that first 3 weeks of a liquid diet, simply because you're healing inside and we don't want any strain on it. And from 2 weeks, if you've had no issues, we can then think about easing into puree and so on. So yeah, so even though you might say, oh, I've seen this on this many weeks for a liver reduction and this many weeks for liquid, don't worry too much about that. We'll guide you as you go along.
Thank you. And another question, how did everyone decide what surgery they would have?
Does there someone who's not spoken, who's on the panel, perhaps want to answer?
I will, please.
Lovely. Sorry, you haven't got your name. I was about to say, what about Samsung?
Colin Potts.
Hi.
Yeah, you're all right. I got a phone call 2 weeks before surgery of Professor Akhtar, and I was just led, whatever he said, I was having. You know, he's doing it day in, day out. I had a single osteomosis. I've never turned around since. I've not. It's just do as they tell you and get on with it.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard for people, but when you overthink it, that's when you can get a little bit anxious. But if you just sort of calm your mind, focus, right, I'm this far down, I'm meant to be doing these things, I'm doing those things, so the weight loss will come, done, and on. And we often say we strategically phone you at certain points, but if you're concerned, you can just keep that food diary for about 3 days and scrutinize it yourself, or ring our dietitians and say, do you think I'm getting enough protein? Are you happy with what I'm doing? And just get that reassurance along your journey as well.
Yeah, it's one of them. Everybody panics when they're coming up to surgery. Even when you're on operating table, you'll have a panic. Just, you're there, you're going to be safe. You know, it's dead easy. And I was waiting for my case 2 hours after surgery. I didn't know I was in intensive care. I was ready to go up, put my case on my bed. Will you? I get ready, I'm going home. 1:30 in the morning. But ended up stopping till the day after. So never turn back. Just go in with the right mindset. That's all you need to do. The surgery is easy. That's the easy bit. The hard bit is keeping your restriction in your stomach. When you're full, you're full. You don't need to eat anymore. Eat again in a couple of hours if you want something, but just keep that restriction. That's all you need to do.
I know there was a question in the group where they were going, well, I don't really feel that restriction in the same way. I feel like I can eat more now. And that's quite natural. You'll notice at first it's such a challenge to have maybe 2 tablespoons of a chunky soup. And then next minute you'll be able to have a full bowl of stew, because you're taking your time, you're chewing it well, and it's going down a bit more easier. But then you'll notice, because your volume's got bigger and you're able to have more of it, it's sliding down a bit easier. So then you need to add in your texture and get your variety right and start looking, well, do I need to have something so soft? Could I now try my chicken or even half a steak? Because even though there's no-go foods for some people, it may have been just at that phase, and when they restart it and they use those rules of 20, they can enjoy something like that. So yeah, and using your crunchy vegetables, using dedicated snacks in between meals, that it might even just be like I think what was quite a popular one, if you prefer sweeter things, a sliced apple with some peanut butter, or carrot sticks with some hummus, those kind of things, just small dedicated snacks that mean that you haven't got a long period between your next meals, so that you're not feeling over hungry when you come to have one. So at first you can imagine that that's going to be you and that's going to be your scenario, but as you go through, it will get easier for things to go down, and then you have to think, right, what can I do now to get a bit more variety, add a bit more texture, and so on. So these are the kind of things you go through.
I'm like Lisa, so every day is different for me. I found that really interesting what Lisa said before, because my restriction some days is very strong, and then other days I don't feel much of a restriction. So I have no idea why that is, but it's just you have to go day by day and just take it one day at a time.
Do you know what Chris told me this, and Suzanne, because I said we had a chat about this, and he said it's all about your liquid intake. The day before, if you've not had enough water, and he was, because I must have had like one glass of water because I was so busy, it has an effect on you like the day after. Right. And it is because like now, if I don't have enough liquid, the next day I can't eat a lot, and it's just really weird.
Yeah. I take a sip of water with a couple of mouthfuls. I take a sip of water while I'm eating. You were saying you couldn't burp.
Yeah.
If I don't take that sip of water, it makes everything, whatever's in your stomach at the time, in my eyes, if it covers the exit up, and you're not going to get your wind up. So I found that I've had to pack bread in and chicken. Bread's the killer for me. I just cannot tolerate it. If I take a sip of water with everything else, I don't mean to guzzle it, just one sip, just moisten what I've got in my stomach. And just, if you have to, stand up for a minute, you can release your wind and you'll carry on. Because otherwise,
that full feeling, you literally have to walk it off.
You get to, you're very fast going to the toilet, get rid of it.
I know now though. It's like I don't know about you, Suzanne, but it's like I eat something and I enjoy it, but then I get this like feeling that something's just dropped. That's it. I've got to stop. I've just got to stop. It's like a stone in a pond. It gets to my stomach, and I think, right, that's it. And then I can't then drink. I can't.
No. I can't walk it off either. I can't walk it off. I've got to lie down.
I have to lie down and cover my head, and I'm gone then for 2 hours. But if I there's no way to overeat now. But if I do, I have to, like say, go to sleep. But as soon as I feel that sinky feeling, I think, right, I'm done now.
I've got some questions. A few people have asked about alcohol intake and if you can alcohol after surgery.
I do have a drink, and I'm 6 months post-op, and I do have a drink. I don't drink loads, but I'm not like a big drinker or anything, but I do still enjoy a couple of glasses of wine at the weekend or something like that. So yeah, and it doesn't cause me any problems. The only thing that I can't really stomach, like, if you're having a shot and you have to put something fizzy in it.
Yeah,
it's the fizzy stuff. So I tend to stick to things like wine and stuff now. I mean, I know alcohol isn't the best thing, but we're all adults here, and a lot of us like to have a little bit of a drink and stuff like that. So yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it, where after surgery we tend to say try not to have anything for the first 6 months, and then introduce it very carefully if you go into it all, because the worst thing you can do is think, well, I'm going to a wedding and I want to toast the bride and groom, and it could be like your own daughter or something. So for God's sake, don't try alcohol when you're at a special occasion for the first time. Try it in the comfort of your own home, so you know that you're okay with whatever that was. And
don't drink and eat Oh my goodness, I learned the hard way with that. I went out for a meal and I was drinking. Do not do it.
Don't do it ever, even if you're drinking water. It's just not worth it. I have now and again, I'll have a Bacardi and cranberry because I've never touched fizzy since, and I can have a couple of them. And before I was a bit of a lush. There was no end to my drinking. I could drink everything. And now a couple of Bacardis, I'm like, I'm going home. I'm going to bed. It's 8 o'clock.
You're a virgin drinker. You know, alcohol's a poison. You've had a whole new system. You're going to metabolize things differently. So yeah, you have to be careful because it's like you've never had alcohol before.
We've got a few questions about loose skin. If you have a lot of loose skin, do they remove it? And how do people deal with the loose skin?
I've got to say I've got quite a bit, and I'm still only 6 months down. So yeah, I've already got quite a bit. But like I said, in all honesty, if you're going into this surgery thinking that, I'm going to look so much better, I'm going to be prettier, things like that, then in all honesty, it's not for you. Because I think being healthier and fitter rather than looking at my body and what my body looks like is so much more beneficial and so much more rewarding.
Yeah, so officially the NHS doesn't routinely offer excess weight loss, excess skin removal, which is awful because it should be available. I think it's just because, yeah, again, it's another thing that has to be thought about, funded, and I don't think our government will ever get around to that for post-bariatric care. I hope they will, and we campaign quite regularly. We ask people to lobby their GPs and so on. But in all honesty, there are grey areas that we will, as healthcare professionals, when we become aware of them, we'll exploit them. So the best thing you can do is attend your yearly weight management appointment, because when your weight loss plateaus, and we do expect for a lot of people to have a little bit of a rebound, so you kind of get down to your 2-year mark, and then it's normal to have a bit of a weight gain and then kind of maintain after that. But once you've maintaining, if your excess skin was a big problem to you, it's good to be in our weight management service, which you all are allowed to come to once, you'll have a 2-year follow-up with myself and Chris, and the option of the surgeon if you need it. Hopefully you never see the surgeon again, because it means there's no problems with your surgery. And beyond that, we're the only service in the world, I believe, that offers a yearly follow-up. That is gold dust. Stick with it, because if there's any opportunities that we get where people have excessive skin that's causing them problems and we can exploit any loopholes, we will. So I'm not saying that we can get you that, but please stick with follow-up so that any opportunities that come up, we can refer you on. So please do that. And I think, like everything, play out those worst case scenarios. So if you were thinking excess skin, the change of body image, you during your weight loss, you don't really control how your weight is lost. It will just happen how it happens. And then after the 2-year mark, it's kind of down to you. So you do have to sort of think to yourself, can I cope with the loose skin? And it's difficult, because asking somebody to understand if they can cope with something they haven't got yet is really difficult. So I think, like Sarah was saying, if you're doing your pros and cons list, and your pros are all kind of like health-based, longevity-based, feeling like you can do more, feeling perhaps even less isolated, or whatever it might be, to run around with the kids a bit more, to be able to walk up that hill and not be out of breath. If they're your goals, then they're things that should hopefully be quite well achieved quite quickly. Things like your type 2 diabetes going into remission, perhaps not having obstructive sleep apnea anymore, perhaps dodging having to have those knees replaced. These are the kind of things that are like the yes. Hair loss, someone had asked about that, hadn't they? So 1 in 10 patients experience hair loss, similar to pregnant women really. Your body's concentrating elsewhere, you have this rapid rapid weight loss, and it's like a stress response that your body does. We don't know exactly why. It's nothing to do with vitamins or needing biotin or any of those kind of things. It's the rapid weight loss that's driving that hair loss initially. So it will happen, but then it will come back, and the only way it can come back is if your protein intake is good. So protein is your building blocks. It's for skin, hair, nails. It will do all your repair. So as long as you get your protein intake in, and you'll have lots of understanding of how to do that. And like the kind of fluffy hair that comes through. So some people do go with a shorter haircut sometimes if it's really affected them, but generally it's never normally too big a deal. I know someone was saying they were hoping their hair would regrow from hair loss they've had prior to surgery. Again, that wouldn't be a realistic expectation of bariatric surgery, I'm afraid.
I know I spoke to you, didn't I, yesterday about it, because I was starting to get a little bit, I'm getting a little bit worried about mine.
It is quite common. Like I say, 1 in 10 is the average. And you know, there's little simple things you can do for natural things, but with your diet after surgery. So again, that's why you have the support and being able to touch base if there's things you're worried about.
Yeah.
Go on, Abby.
A question around IVF. How long after bariatric surgery would someone be able to receive IVF treatment?
Yes, this is a really good one. So there's very, very few kind of expedited criteria for bariatric surgery. It has to be maybe if somebody's got a cancer and they need to have weight loss for a curative procedure like a hysterectomy for endometrial cancer or something like this, or if they need to get on the transplant list and they're being told that their BMI is too high but they need a new kidney. These are the people that will get their surgery a little bit sooner than others. Also, people that have gone through a fertility clinic and all their fertility and everything has been looked at, and the only option for them to conceive and have a chance of having a family is to have IVF, and the only thing that's stopping them having IVF is because of their high BMI. So if that is you, speak to your key worker, speak to your tier 3 weight management team, because they should be thinking about referring you to us so that we can work you up a bit quicker for your surgery to give you a chance to have a family. Once you've had your surgery, you go through that rapid weight loss, and around the 6-month mark, that's when I would be knocking back on their doors. Obviously, they're going to set your BMI criteria anyway, so you're aiming for that. So if they've said you've got, I think for most people, they'll say a BMI of 30, which can be really unrealistic if you're a BMI of 60. So it's really just trying to get down to as close to that. So once you're below a BMI of 35, you'd be knocking on their door.
Thank you.
Can I just, I'm really sorry. Is it, I don't want to interrupt. I'm going to have to go.
No, that's fine.
But if there is any questions that anybody wants to ask me, who's, you know, because I'm so close, I'm only 6 months, please do ask me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on the group. You can personal message me, anything at all. It's fine.
Oh, thanks, Sarah. And thanks for speaking tonight as well. It's really nice to see you.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Sarah.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye. I've just posted the bariatric ABL Facebook group in there. We just really use it for peer support, for you guys to chat to each other and share tips. So Sarah is on there and she does often post. I will also post the satisfaction survey into the chat as well. We really appreciate your time to fill in our survey to make sure we're providing the information that you want to hear so we can help you on this journey. Jodie, the last question, which is asked quite a lot, is just any sort of guidance on, or if you can provide any guidance on scales or
on what, sorry, on the waiting time?
Yeah.
So first of all, obviously we've still got our panelists here, and I think the fact that we've gone to 8 o'clock and not even looked at the time just shows how successful and how valued these evenings are. So thank you so much for giving your time. so feel free to go if you've already had your surgery, because luckily you don't have to worry about waiting times anymore, which is really nice for people here to see, and see people that have had surgery recently. So right now, when you come to join these groups, it's because you're considering surgery at first. So depending how long you're in your weight management. So for most people, you're in a weight management service for 6 to 12 months. Then when you go through their multidisciplinary teams, you've done some programs, you maybe had some psychology, other things that you'll get involved in during that time. They're the only funded service that can then refer you on for bariatric surgery. That referral comes to us, and where you've met the nice guidance, which you will have done, because nobody refers you if you haven't, but that gets checked so that then you have money ready, allocated for you to have surgery with the NHS. So that's there, and that's waiting for you to come and meet the team. It's very rare that when you meet the team, people wouldn't then proceed on for surgery. It can happen very occasionally, but that's not something for you to worry about. Everybody's very individual, and there is quite a long wait from when you leave when you've referred. Now, some services will keep a kind of nice little group session or something that you can do with them until you're referred. If not, it might just be this, that you come in here each month until you meet the team. So as I say, at the moment, our waiting times have been up to 76 weeks. I believe the trajectory is more like 67, but then as I say, we're doing these additional phone clinics, so we're trying to chop that down quite rapidly. So bear with us, and hopefully soon I'll be going, oh, we're under a year, but that still feels a lot. But it's one little service, I'm afraid. I say little, we didn't used to feel that little, but now there is a lot more people being referred for it, which is great, but there's just not quite the resources there. So there's always going to be waits with NHS. When you come through and finally meet our team, certain things that get done before proceeding on to that waiting list. So that might be a psychological assessment, it might be a sleep study test. You've heard people talking about sleep machines they needed to wear, so we look for something called obstructive sleep apnea. It might be that you've had other more serious health conditions, and we want to speak to your cardiologist or your renal physician about those, and what's going to be in your best interest going forward for surgery. So when we've done all the things to make sure we're safe and happy, you'll go along to a pre-op appointment, and you go into a pre-op appointment because you've most likely been offered a date for surgery. So that could happen as little as 2 weeks before your date for surgery, and it can be a bit of a shock because you think, oh my God, I've been waiting for you to phone. And how long you wait is, again, at the moment, if you come to Salford and you're waiting to have your surgery, it could be about a year from meeting our team to having the surgery at Salford, potentially even more. However, we're trying to cut down the waiting times at Salford by using the Oaklands Hospital, which is a private facility across the road where all our surgeons do. So you're still very much our patient, and you'll have me phoning you pretty sharpish once they're finished with you. But they're lovely. It's a nice calm place to have your surgery. You haven't got the hustle and bustle, you haven't got the same risk of being cancelled because there's not beds. So we use the Oaklands Hospital with our team, and when you meet your surgeon, that's when you'll get an indication if you're suitable for the private for the Oaklands Hospital. And that can sound a bit mean, but actually private facilities rightly will have a criteria because they don't have the same facilities such as an ICU, for example. So if we felt someone was higher risk, then you'll definitely have your surgery at Salford. If you tell us you only want your surgery at Salford, you'll have your surgery at Salford. But for most people and our experienced surgeons, you would have the opportunity to go to Oaklands. There is another criteria. They say for men with a BMI of 50 or below, they're happy to do the procedure. For women with a BMI of 55 and below, they're happy to do the procedure. And there might be other health conditions that would make us a little bit more nervous, maybe if you've got more of a significant heart failure or anything like that, we would again do your surgery at Salford. So these are things that you would find out more about when you meet our team. and we would hope that you could have your surgery from meeting our team, ideally within that year. So the more people that are suitable for the Oaklands, that's great, because it means that our waiting time for Salford should come down as well. So there's always things we're doing to keep it down, but realistically your journey, if it's your very first meeting tonight and you're considering bariatric surgery and you're very keen to have it, your journey with the NHS is likely to be around 3 years.
Thank you, Jodie, and thank you, panelists. You can see in the chat how motivational and insightful that was for everyone. So thank you. I think we'll leave it there.
No, everyone's been great. Thanks for staying on and thanks for listening. See you all soon. Oh, next month is Mr. Al-Kafaf. He's holding his own because I won't be here. But if anyone's seen Mr. Al-Kafaf speak before, he's more than capable and he's an excellent speaker. So we'll have Mr. Al-Kafaf having a good chat with you all next month.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Stuart. Thanks, Yvonne. Thanks, everybody that came.